5, 4, 3. Hi, everybody. Dugraz here with Dugroz Reports. Welcome to my Saturday morning live stream. Today is Saturday, February the 21st, 2026, and I'm reporting live from my house. Good to see each and every one of you on board this morning. Let's take a look and see who's on board. I actually started promptly at 9:30 Central today, so that maybe threw you off a little. No tech issues. LN330 is here and says, good morning, everyone. And right away drops a $1.49 super sticker. Celebrate. Thank you so much, LN330. And if you're wondering what the significance of $1.49 is, well, anybody who donates that exact amount gets 1,000 Dugroz points. So boom, there you go, LN. Thank you for sharing. You can use that on all kinds of things. FLX-NY is here. A tier 50 says good morning. Cogito ergo sum. DEM Dimitri quadruple 11. DEM says, who needs music mid-leg day when you have those sweet sounds of Dugroz Reports? Pump that iron, DEM. Mojo is here. Good morning. DEM is excited. Cesar is here. Mi hermano, my brother from another mother. Mike Newland, also known as Miles of Smiles. How you doing, Mike? Good to see you, and good morning, everyone. All right. Well, let me know if you can hear me okay, and I will go ahead and dive right into Dugraz data points. Anything around the world of points, miles, cash back, etc., that I think is kind of interesting. Today's first Dugraz data point is a reminder. We talked about this last week. Hat tip 1 mile at a time. Right now, Chase is offering a 40% transfer bonus to Virgin Atlantic, and that transfer bonus goes through the end of this month, February. So I'm just wondering, do any of you have any stories to share? Any transfers that you've used? Have you booked anything using this transfer bonus recently? There are a variety of options. This screenshot is hat tip to friend of the channel, Ron Byrne. I apologize. It's a little washed out. I'm not sure why, but he said he spotted this Virgin Atlantic Premium Economy, June 23rd, 18,000 points from JFK, New York to Manchester, England. Now, there certainly are Premium Economy flights on Virgin that are even less than 18,000 points. But most of them go into London Heathrow. Not that many go into Manchester. So if you take 18,000 and divide by 140, you would only need to transfer like 12,800, let's say 13,000 over to get the desired amount. So not too bad. And then speaking of Virgin, there are some new developments. This one is hat tip frequent miler. And they let us know that, hold on, I've got some issues with my screen size here. Where's the one I want? Looks like StreamYard changed some settings on me here. Oops. Nope. There, that's the one I want right there. Virgin Atlantic adds WestJet as a, I guess you'd say, partner or co-redemption partner. They can redeem your miles on each other. Virgin Atlantic customers can redeem their points on any WestJet flight. WestJet customers can only redeem their points on Virgin Atlantic flights from Heathrow. For most of us here in the U.S., that doesn't really matter, as Virgin is a partner of almost every major transfer currency. I don't think a whole lot of us have WestJet points we're waiting to use. WestJet, by the way, is a Canadian-based somewhat discount airlines. I don't know. Would it be fair to say they're the Southwest of Canada? But one potential excitement for me is that, like, I could say fly from Des Moines to Dallas or Des Moines to Denver, spend a couple days there, and then fly WestJet using Virgin points to either Vancouver or Vancouver Island, capital Victoria. I've always wanted to go to kind of that British Columbia coast part of Canada. So that's exciting. Right now, you can only redeem the Virgin points for WestJet on the phone, but it is coming to the internet soon. At least that's what they're telling us. Catching up on who is on board. Let's see here. Travel Learn. Repeat says good morning, Dugraz. Dimitri says, hi, I tested my built Obsidian card at Walmart Supercenter, and yes, it was coded as grocery and earned 3 miles per dollar. Celebrate. All right, got to be getting an Obsidian card soon. Thank you, Dimitri. Appreciate that. Kevin Hawthorne is here from Lakeland, Florida. Thank you. Mike Newland says, I booked my dad using the transfer bonus for $13K round trip, Austin to CVG. I'm not sure what CVG is, so I'm going to look that up right now. CVG Airport, Cincinnati. Okay. Austin to Cincinnati. Cool. And round trip, that's only $6,500 each leg. Built points or Mesa? DM wants to know. PDX Beach says, Guten Morgen, Herr Dugraz. Thank you. Mike Newland booked them using Dugraz points. I forgot that we do transfer to Virgin Atlantic on the 5th Thursday of every month. Thank you for reminding me. Chad's Money Minutes is here and says, yo, Chad, what's going down? FLX says, I successfully used my built Obsidian for 3 cent groceries at Walmart and Target. Even better. Yes. I've been looking for a reliable Walmart card. Now, here would be a bigger test. Has anybody used Walmart online grocery with pickup in conjunction with the Obsidian? Stephen Cohen says, good morning, everyone. Just got back from Costa Rica. That's Spanish for the rich coast, for those of you who aren't fluent in Espanol. I used a Hilton free night certificate for an epic stay at Waldorf Astoria. Room rates were over $1,800 per night. Thanks for everything you've taught me. You're sure welcome. Boy, that would be 3 times better than the best Hilton free night certificate I've ever used. Calderd says WestJet should join SkyTeam. And Double Animal Fries wants to know if there's any Dugraz points transfer bonuses right now. Not right now. Stay tuned. Thank you for asking, though. All right, moving on with the remainder of the Dugraz data points here. Hey, how about a personal data point? You know how I have the City Strata Elite, and I've been working on a sign-up bonus on it? Well, guess what? I'm done. Now, the points I haven't posted yet, but I have successfully spent my $6,000, so 100,000 thank you points should be coming my way soon. For better or worse, I met the sign-up bonus by paying a car insurance bill like 2 days after the last statement closed, so I got to wait 26, 28 days, something like that, before I see those points, but they'll get there eventually. Mike Newland wants to know about Sam's, how the built Obsidian card is handling Sam's Club. I would be curious to know that as well. Next Dugraz data point here is courtesy of Gerald the Budget Traveler. Ooh, share the correct screen. Share it. There we go. Gerald the Budget Traveler, who's on Discord, and says, hey, the Hilton business card now has 175,000 points plus an FNC for 8K in 6 months. It's not no lifetime language. I thought I'd jump on this, except I already grabbed a Hilton business last year. I've had a Hilton business in the past, so I can't benefit from this unless I just get lucky. I think I canceled it maybe 4 years ago, so I don't think that's outside a lifetime. I've heard Amex considers about 7 years to be a lifetime. But I went and looked at the website a few days ago, and sure enough, right there, Hilton Honors business card, 175 points and a free night certificate after spending $8,000 within 6 months. The offer ends on 4/15. Now, I went back today and looked, and it wasn't there. So this is probably one of those things where you have to poke around with like incognito browsers and stuff and hope to land it. And then a little more specifically, we'll expand that out. Hat tip, Danny the Deal Guru. Most of the Amex consumer and business card have no lifetime language links. Now, I think this headline's a little misleading because it's just the consumer cards that have no lifetime language. But as an example, you can get another Hilton Surpass with, I don't know, whatever the standard amount of points is. I think it's around 180,000 for plus a free night certificate. So I don't know. I'm thinking about getting another Surpass, but I don't want to hit Chase 524. But some good Hilton offers out there right now. I know Hilton has been devalued. I even did a Hilton eval a few months ago. So I acknowledge that. But let's just say that, I think it's 170,000 points upon further review. Let's just say it's worth 0.4 cents per point. That would still be $680 in value plus a free night certificate. That's not too bad. That's not so bad. PDX says no gas station piece with transfer bonus. Not right now. I can't do it all the time. FLX has not tried the built obsidian at Sam's Club. No help yet. Calderd said, I would call WestJet the Alaska Airlines of Canada. Oh, okay. There you go. Rewards Master's on board. Hey, Dugroz, good to be here. You made any bookings with those super valuable Virgin Atlantic points based on the 40% transfer bonus? Double Animal Fries wants to know, does the timer to use the free night certificate start when you hit the sub or when you approve for the card? Based on my experience, it's when you hit the sub. Anybody have a different data point? John from John's Credit Travel celebrates 24 months of memberships. That's 2 years, folks. Celebrate. 34 people watching, 14 likes. Get that like count up. I would appreciate if you click the like button. That will drive more people in here. And I'll go over different ways to support my channel shortly. But a little super chat or super sticker helps do the trick. I'll definitely take that. Double Animal Fries is just saying hi to John. And Nuracan has made it here. I'm at work in the LAS area. Good luck there. All right. Excuse me, folks. As is tradition, I have to blow my nose. Thank goodness there's a mute button on my soundboard, huh? All right, next hat tip is courtesy of Mike Newland himself. Miles of Smiles sent me these on the Discord. The first one is for Delta. This was in his email inbox. There's a limited time offer that ends May 17th. Earn double MQDs for each $20 in purchases. This is specific to his Delta Business Platinum American Express card. You can earn 2 times as many medallion qualifying dollars for every $20 purchased with your card through May 17th. Help you get closer to elevated status for 2027 more quickly. So check your inbox if you hold a Delta Sky Miles Business Platinum card. And then also, we went from Delta to Spirit, so a little bit of contrast there, but contrast can be good. How about Spirit Airlines? You can get upgraded to free Spirit status instantly. All free Spirit members eligible to upgrade to Spirit. So for just $79, you have to pay for it, but you'll be upgraded to Silver and get all this silver stuff. Spirit doesn't fly out of Des Moines at all, so this doesn't really hold much of a place for me, but maybe it does for you. Ron says the Hilton free night expiration is 1 year from when you receive it. That makes sense. So you don't receive it till you complete the sign-up bonus. So be strategic about that. Use some strategery. I remember I wanted to complete one of my cards, and I waited as late as I could in the year. This was when I was doing a surpass 50K spend. So I did it like November or so. Mike says it would be hard to focus on work in Las Vegas. Oh, is that what LAS means? LAS? I don't know why I didn't pick up on that. Thanks for translating, Mike. Nerd ACS says, sorry I'm late. Newlywed life can be hectic. Congratulations on being a newlywed nerd. Dimitri says, I ordered a luxury transfer from Barcelona Airport with Black Lane using my City Strata Elite. The charge posted for $103. I'm looking forward to my $100 statement credit. Hey, there you go. Celebrate. That's a good way to use that credit and help, make that annual fee feel a little more palatable. Let's see. Okay, the first row is done, which was all the Hilton type stuff. So next data point here. It's time for the Dugraz Eats segment. This was from a Mexican restaurant here in the greater Des Moines area. Oh man, now I'm hungry for that. Got some flautas and orange Fanta along with the chips and salsa. They bring out 2 salsas, one spicy, one mild, and I just say, I'm only going to use the mild. You can take that back. And they're like, okay. And then the other Dugraz Eats says, I hadn't been to Burger King in quite a long time. Got a Whopper, and it came in a cardboard box. When did they change that? Normally it was in like a wrapper type thing. So that's interesting. Hey, look at this napkin down here in the corner. It's one of my transfer partners. And then another personal data point. Hey, I went to Walgreens and I did not use my Bilt card, but I did use a card that is in my Bilt wallet. So how did Bilt treat me? Well, I spent $464 and got 5 Bilt points. You might be thinking to yourself, what a ripoff. Well, there was a little bit of strategery involved. Walgreens sells certain things like, I don't know, gift cards. And I bought a rather hefty gift card and a bag of Reese's Peanut Butter Cup Thins, which are pretty good. I didn't know about them until then, which was around $5 or $6. So I'm pretty sure what they did is Bilt gave me the Bilt points on the Reese's Peanut Butter Cups, but not the gift card. I remember Matt Clausen saying several months ago he was concerned people would abuse the Bilt neighborhood thing at Walgreens and buy a bunch of gift cards. Based on this one data point, kind of looks like Bilt already figured that out and got out ahead of it, and they know not to do that. Normally, you think of like using a Visa or MasterCard, they aren't getting that third level transaction data, but I think what must happen is Bilt has an agreement with Walgreens where they'll say like, oh, hey, I saw Doug's credit card was used. Hey, Walgreens, please send me a list of what he bought. So they're getting that third-party data, and they kind of know what's going on with that. DEM says Walmart shares level 3 data with Bilt. That's the term I'm looking for, level 3, and we each misspoke. I said third person. I meant level 3. You said Walmart and meant Walgreens. A tier 50 loves the Walgreens connection. Hey, I do too. I've used it for a lot of legitimate stuff, candy, photo orders, prescriptions, etc., etc. DEM says, although I've purchased Walmart gift cards and have gotten the 3X, just not the Walgreens bonus. Yeah, same. So like I used a Freedom Flex and it'll get 3X with Chase. I just won't get anything on the Bilt side. Ron wants to know could you use prescriptions to do that at Walgreens? How much is insulin? Remembering one of my sons does have type 1 diabetes. Right now, I'm fortunate that my son's insulin is free to me or no net cost based on a program here in the state of Iowa. So I don't have to deal with that. I probably should do some research, though, because I have some prescriptions myself that I fill at a different local pharmacy that I've become less and less satisfied with. Don't get me wrong, I'm not a huge fan of the corporate pharmacy that Walgreens is, but points are points, so I should look into that. Nerd says Bill also knows what stuff is HSA and FSA eligible, so obviously they're getting that level 3 data. Nurcan says Staples still works. I got 3X on Bilt on gift cards. Awesome. And prescriptions do count towards points. In fact, don't they even count like a little better? That's just my memory. I might be a little off on that. Oops, sorry. Hey, we got 52 people on board. Thank you so much. Now's as good a time as any to talk about how you can support my channel. So there are some really obvious ways through YouTube. You've got super chats where you give money, and I really appreciate that. Super stickers, like that 149 super sticker or any amount, that supports the channel. And then another option that's a little less obvious, if you look in the description box, you will find a link to my tip jar. It's the very first link. And if you give a tip through the tip jar, it's just a much smaller percentage. They only take 2 or 3%, whereas YouTube takes away anywhere from 30 to 50%. So there's a couple reasons you might want to use that. One is just because you support me a little more on a net basis. And the other reason is you can give anonymously. So if you want to use an anonymous donation, check out the tip jar link. I will try my best to check it while the live stream is going. And hey, speaking of that, Miles of Smiles, also known as Mike Newland, drops $60 into the tip jar. Celebrate. Whoa, you are the GOAT, Mike. Thank you so much for the $60 tip in the tip jar. Tink. I really appreciate that. Mike leading the way. And Mike says, I think for prescriptions, you get a maximum of 100 points per. Oh, okay. A tier says, we pay individually for prescriptions, so we get 100 per script. Oh, you just walk up to the cashier and say, hi, I have some prescriptions to pick up. Yeah, there's 3 here. I need to pay for all 3 with a separate transaction. They're like, fine, but you do it anyway because it's worth the points, right? Is that it, A tier? Source King says prescriptions get a flat 100. Now that could be good when you're getting like, prednisone, which is like $1.45 or something like that. Tucking that away. Thank you for all the tips on that. So we talked about tip jar, super chat, super stickers, and thank you for your support. You can also support me just by adding a comment if you're watching this after the fact. So if you're not watching this live, but you're watching later, just say something over here in the comment section. Any old thing. You can just put the words prescription in there. That'd be fine. Today's theme of the day is, did these 3 trips actually pay for themselves? And what that means is I took 3 short rip trips, and I'm going to do the math on them. And you may know I have something of a net zero rule, and we're going to evaluate this. So this is sort of behind the scenes of Dugroz Report. We're pulling back the curtain of what this guy does a little bit. Any donation you make, whether it's tip jar or online, about 20 to 25% goes to support my family because this is like a part-time job. And the other 75% or so is reinvested into the channel with technology, desks, etc. No, I have not bought my new desk yet. I will someday, I promise. I did get the Lego castle. I'm still working on it. Sorry, it's taken longer than I thought. Hair months, if you're watching. There's another way to support my channel as well, and that's by getting a good night of sleep. So let me tell you a little bit about my favorite mattress. It's the Sparrow Signature Hybrid by Nest Bedding. My wife and I have slept on it for 6 years. We're considering splitting that off and going with 2 twin XLs, putting them right next to each other. Kind of an I Love Lucy thing. I reviewed this mattress 6 years ago when I was a budding YouTuber, and it's the one that stuck. One thing I like about it is it has a lifetime renewal exchange where you can take that top layer and once in the lifetime of the mattress, get a new one for free. So it's sort of like refreshing your memory foam. But it also has a lifetime warranty and a 365-night risk-free trial period. Comes shipped to you in a box, compressed, rolled up. If you look in the description box, there is a link to this video right here where I did a 6-year re-review recently, as well as a link to the mattress itself. That is an affiliate, so I get a small commission if you use that link and buy it. You can't use my link and Rakuten's link. You got to support one of us. I would like it if it's me. So consider checking that out. And even if you aren't looking for a new mattress, just go watch the video. The more clicks that it gets, the more Nest is going to like me. And again, that's another way to support the channel. Thank you for that. All right, I'll catch up on comments here. Source Team says partial fills at Walgreens are nice. Can I fill 1/10 of my prednisone, please? That's 12 cents. A tier. Yes, they know us. Check Raise You says, how many PayPal debit cards do you have now? Do you have at least 2 yet? Maybe you'll find something in a tip jar if you do. Well, Check Raise, I got to be honest. I only have 1. But tell you what, I'll screenshot this. I probably won't have it by next week, but sometime in the next month or 2, I will endeavor to do that. Nick says, I'm going to have to watch the replay. I'm recovering from a Disney World trip. Oh, yeah, I imagine. In fact, it looks like your avatar is that giant Disney World tree thing. Dropping a comment and a like for the algorithm. Celebrate, celebrate. Thank you. We've got 59 people on board, so keep on clicking thumbs up and commenting. Calderd says, Walgreens MasterCard in the Built Wall is a killer combo for pharmacy shopping. Awesome. Yeah, it seems like it would be. Thank you very much. Checking the tip jar real quick here. And, I got an anonymous donation from someone named Tipper. Whether it was intended to be anonymous, I don't know. So if you want to speak up, you can. But we'll celebrate either way. Thank you, anonymous Tipper. Celebrate, celebrate. Hey, thank you so much. All right, moving on to the next Dugroz data point here. There was a rumor that there was truckloads of changes coming to Hyatt, especially at the high end. Changes to the rewards program, a level 10 hotel, and a new premium credit card, $795 annual fee. Multiple creators did an entire video on it. It was based on a single person on Reddit, and it did sound very credible. This is a hat tip 1 mile at a time. But hold your hosses, because just a few days later, OMAT said rumored World of Hyatt program changes are completely fake, ? And the exact same Reddit user who said, I got these rumors, later said, ha, I made it all up. This was an experiment for a college class to see how viral rumors and disinformation spread online. So to that guy, although it is worth saying, what's weird is in the credit card community, most rumors end up being true, but rumors are just rumors. Keep that in mind, boys and girls. Check says, do you consider Built 2.0 the newest best catch-all credit card? At this moment, I do not, but I'm willing to change my mind. The verdict is still out. I would like to be a late adopter. Let everyone kind of get the kinks worked out, get through 2 or 3 cycles of mortgage payments. Then I'll check out Built 2.0, probably with Obsidian. Kevin Keno Davis says, celebrate, and I agree. Thank you, Kevin. Move along, as the Stormtrooper said to Obi-Wan Kenobi. There is a 15% transfer bonus right now from Amex to Avianca, hat tip frequent miler. This is one of those that is run by the airline itself. So the transfer doesn't, or the bonus doesn't initiate with Amex. You transfer the points, then at some point in the future, Avianca gives you the 15% bonus. I'm not a big time Avianca Life Miles user. Maybe I should be. One thing that concerns me is that they expire, but that might benefit you. What Avianca redemptions are great for you, or what have you made? Spartan of Finance says, good morning from South Jersey. How you doing? And Sleepy Rod says, the Hyatt rumor being fake is a bummer. I actually really liked that potential premium Hyatt card. Yeah, the fakety guy on Reddit said he basically fed some data into ChatGPT or another one of the AI bots and asked them to make a realistic sounding new card, and that's what it came up with. Matt Clausen says, howdy from the Hudson Valley. Matt also says, I'm not happy. I got egg on my face. Yeah, I referenced you right before you came on, or maybe you heard that. Not in a bad way. Your whole channel is based on breaking news, so no hard feelings whatsoever. Travel Earn Repeat says 1,000 points to 2,000 points with Amex MR points on the Amex Gold card. Great deal. I'm not exactly sure what you're referencing there, Travel Earn Repeat. Could you be a little more specific? X-Doors 282 is watching at double speed on catch-up. My parents are going to Victoria. That's Vancouver Island, the biggest city there. There's an awesome I Prefer hotel that is 7.5K city points per night. Amazing location, and the ferry connects Vancouver and Victoria. Multiple thoughts here, X-Doors. One is, I love ferries, so thank you. Number 2 is, I really want to go there. Victoria looks awesome. And 3, I think I've seen that I Prefer hotel before. Maybe that was in Vancouver, but yeah, all the stars line up on that. Source King says, I share your son's medical affliction. I'm able to spread out all my prescriptions and get between 1,000 and 1,500 built points per month. Cool. Well, I mean, not that I would wish T1D on anyone, but that's a neat connection. Thank you for sharing that, Source King. And hey, silver lining. You may have a non-functional pancreas, but at least you get built points. New Again says, happy Saturday. That Hyatt card leak was no way real. For 1 second, I have a strong critical eye, or some say I'm just negative. I also am known for always looking on the dark side of things. And Rex Blind celebrates 7 months of membership. Yay, Dugroz Day. Thank you, Rex. Celebrate. 71 people on board. Keep on dropping those super chats and making comments. That helps bring people on board, and click thumbs up if you've not yet done so. I'm just saying this out loud so I remember. I jumped the gun slightly with my mattress promo. I need to go back. I have a whole row of data points I temporarily skipped. Speaking of World of Hyatt, there is a legitimate increased welcome offer right now on the World of Hyatt card that's been around for a long time, the $100, $95 one. Right now, if you spend $5K in the first 3 months, you get 3 free night certificates, the little ones, 1 through 4 categories. And then if you complete a second tranche, which takes you up to 15K, in the world of points and miles, we say tranche because we sound very suave. You'll get 2 more for a total of 5, but since that's 15,000 of spending, you would automatically get a 6. So it's kind of like 6 free night certificates, and you have a year to use them. If you're planning to do that, and I think that is a killer welcome offer, you have to complete it by 7 a.m. Eastern time on February 26th. And looking at my national parks calendar, that tells me that you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days. Actually, not even 5 full days, since it expires at 7 in the morning. You have 4.7 days or something like that if you're interested in that. Check Raise You says, I did not get a retention offer on my US bar this year, the first time in 7 years. Holy smokes. Well, that's not good for me. I've not made my retention call yet. I will record it and I will share it, and that will be done before March 3rd, I believe, the recording, whether or not the sharing will be done. Next Dugraz data point here. Thank you to Danny, the deal guru, for this one. There are targeted emails going out for 3,000 bonus points on your next Hilton stay. This appears to be going out to people that haven't stayed at Hilton's in a little while. I checked my email. Unfortunately, I am not targeted. I did get a push notification for 20% off cash rates, but that's one of those kind of like, yeah, they always say that kind of stuff. So if you're looking to stay at a Hilton in the near future on points or just at all, check your email inbox to see if you are targeted for that. 71 people on board. We're getting up there now. All right, before I go back and get the row of data points that I missed, let's do a couple in-person Dugraz data points, physical items. Haven't done that in a while. I hold in my hand a Chase Freedom Flex and a Chase Freedom Flex. I actually misplaced my card, so I didn't want them to cancel, so I did the thing where you just say your card is damaged. They sent me a new one. But hey, looky there. This one is embossed in the front. This one is not. They have finally moved the numbers to the back, which last time I got one, they put the numbers, it was not embossed, but they're on the front. So way to go, Chase. I can now actually hold up my Freedom Flex card without having my identity stolen, so I appreciate that. I would say something like, I can't remember the last time I used embossed numbers on a credit card, except I actually can. It was in Colorado. I believe it was in the area around Colorado Springs. I was in a choir for my college, and like 40 of us college students were singing at churches in Colorado, and we stopped at, might have been Pikes Peak or some national park, and there was like a little town you could go in, and they had a bunch of kitschy shops, and I bought like a little card game called Alien Hot Shots. It's like a numbers game. It's supposed to be for children, but it's fun for college students as well. And I remember they ran my credit card in that little gift shop for like $10, put it in the thing, and went chunk, 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 chunk to make sure, you know, all the paper was right. Random story. Second Dugraz data point that's an in-person data point. One of my favorite cards, Filmo's favorite card, is the Wells Fargo Golden Ponies card, technically called the Visa Signature card. And this is what it looked like for years and years and years, a field of golden ponies running across the field. Unfortunately, it does have the numbers on the front, so I have to put a sticky note on there to cover it. And then at some point in the not too distant past, they changed it to this very boring design that just says rewards in the corner. And here is the limited edition 2025 Flying Ryan version, where he helped me make a sticker that I could put on the front. But I noticed online in the card design studios, there was an option for new golden ponies, or at least a variant on golden ponies. So I asked them to send it to me. And here it is, the new design. Unfortunately, there are numbers on it. What do you think? It does involve ponies, but it's pretty mid. 2 observations is, first of all, it's not as great as I thought. They put the numbers on the front. If I use the default card, numbers on the back. If I use the card design studio, numbers on the front. And it's really like flimsy and thin, a lot thinner than the default card. So it's like they have Carl the intern in the back room with like an in-shop card embossing machine running it there. So if you use the card design studio on Wells Fargo, which is only available for certain cards, I don't know why. Just fair warning, it might be kind of a lame quality card. Rex says tranche means slice in French, which was my nickname on the golf course. Slice. Hello, tranche. Hey, that's good. That sounds like the things that smart people like us would know. Amaya Karim says there's a Hilton 2,000 points public offer for some time. I was denied for the 3K offer. That's maybe what I was thinking of. I could have sworn there was a 2,000 point thing I signed up for and I couldn't find it. Mertz says, I got approved for the new Hilton Biz offer. It's been a long time since the Biz has had the free night certificate offer. Might add a night to my Grand Hotel Victoria stay. 170K standard reward. Interesting. Could you clarify, and maybe you just don't know, was that a no lifetime language offer or not? Mixed data points. Travel Earn Repeat clarifies that he was saying 1 to 2 points on the Amex Gold. Oh, yes. So whatever you earn on the Amex Gold functionally doubles if you move it over to Hilton. I gotcha. So if you spend 1,000 points, if you earn 1,000 points on your Amex Gold, you get 2,000. Hey, save that for a transfer bonus of at least 25, 30%, and even better. The Catman. I don't think we've met before. How you doing? I got an email from Chase saying you can't use flex points for direct deposit next month for outside accounts. Tuck that away. I'm actually going to cover that. And Mert says, or I might stay overnight at the Waldorf, New York City before a flight the next day, a bucket list after the renovation. Yeah, I could see either one. And just to clarify, when you say the Grand Hotel Victoria, I think I remember Frequent Miler saying that is a small luxury hotel, which you can use Hilton for in Australia, mate. Is that right? Confirm that I'm thinking correctly. He says it was not no lifetime lunch. However, I've had the Biz before and still got approved. Hey, maybe I should give it a shot. Matt says, I still have to use the unexpected free night cert I got from Hilton for upgrading to the Surpass. Do that. My dad upgraded from a no annual fee card to a Surpass and got an FNC, but he spent $15,000. That's how he got his. Or wait. Maybe he just plain got it. I can't remember. I'm sorry, Matt. All right, now let me go back and catch up on those data points that I skipped while I was plugging mattresses. Hey, you know how I use the word cromulent a lot to describe things like a perfectly cromulent video? On February 18th, 1996, which was 30 years ago earlier this week, the word cromulent was born on The Simpsons. And if you want to know the origin of the word cromulent, check out my community tab posts, and you'll find a video there that explains all of that. There is a gas station here in the Midwest that until recently was known as Come and Go. I'm going to turn off my fan. I'm getting kind of cold. This gas station was bought out by another chain of gas stations called Maverick, which I think is based in Salt Lake City, Denver, something like that. Don't quote me on that. But anyhow, why am I pointing that out? Well, because, hat tip, Frequent Miler, Capital One has an offer right now. Not everyone will have it, but many people have it, to earn 8 points per dollar at Maverick and 7 points per dollar at Quick Trip. Both of those are Des Moines area gas stations that I'm quite familiar with. So check your Capital One offers to see if you have that. Now, Frequent Miler put in parentheses, buy gift cards in store. I went into a Maverick store not too long ago and tried to buy a prepaid Visa gift card, and their register was hard-coded to not allow that. Their prepaid Visa cards are debit or cash only. So it would not work for that. Whether or not it would work for third-party gift cards, I can't say. There was a single data point in the article of someone who said they only allow credit cards for their own gift cards. So you could go in and buy a Maverick gift card and, use it to buy gas for the next few weeks, and that would work. But According to one guy, you can't use it on Amazon or Taco Bell or anything like that. Your mileage may vary. Speak up if you've taken advantage of this or if you've ever bought a third-party gift card at a Maverick or Quick Trip gas station. To make it even more confusing, there's another gas station in Wisconsin and Minnesota called Quick Trip with a K. Here in Iowa, there's Quick Trip with a Q. So the Quick Trips with a K were renamed Quick Star. Random Iowa gas station insights. Blah, blah, blah. Mert says, yes, it is a SLH property, Lake Como, Italy. Oh, so not Victoria as in Australia, but Victoria as in Italy. Hey, what's the matter, you Dugraz? You get to the wrong country. LV Catman says, I pop in sometimes. I'm your old Simpsons reference guy. Well, at least the first 15 season was peak. Hey, commiseration there. Yeah, really about the first 10 to 11 seasons are the ones that I have down pat. Travel Earn Repeat says, am I wrong for not wanting to deal with Capital One and not having their credit cards? No, you're not wrong. You might be missing out on some stuff, but you're not wrong. Sleepy Rod wants to know if I've tried applying for any more ink cards, see if that good old ink gravy train continues. I haven't. I'm going to take a flyer in March. We'll see how it goes. I'll keep you updated. Cogito says, gas for $2.59 must be nice. I think I paid $4.69 last time I filled up here in California. Did that picture have the price of gas listed? I don't remember. It probably did. Yeah, $2.99 for the no ethanol, $2.59 for the with ethanol. So yeah. It is nice. A tier says, I went to Quick Trip and they only had their own gift cards, so I moved on. Do they have Quick Trips in the state that you live in? Or maybe you live in Iowa. Next, Dugraz data point. This one is hat tip to friend of the channel, Ron B., who said, DoorDash has blocked my city Strata Elite. I even tried to create a new login, and that didn't work. I paid with Apple Pay using my phone, and that went through. So I don't know if this is city doing city things or if this is DoorDash doing DoorDash things, but just a word of caution, this kind of stuff seems to happen with city. There are various strategery things you can do with DoorDash that may be a factor. Maybe. We'll see. And next Dugroz data point. We're almost to the end here. Somebody gave the tip earlier. I think it was the Catman. Said Chase will soon limit cashback rewards to its own accounts. And this is a fairly minor change. I think this is really dumb. But basically, Chase is saying if you cash out points, you can either do a statement credit or you have to move it to one of our own bank accounts. Now, I've never had a Chase checking or savings account. I do have this theory that the reason why I've been okay with Chase is because I've avoided that, but I digress. Statement credits, cash is fungible. So if I cash out, get a $300 statement credit and then spend that at a grocery store and then use the $300 I would have spent at the grocery store to go into my travel savings account, it's functionally the same thing. It's dumb because it really doesn't help very much. I don't think a lot less people will be cashing out and buying chess sets, or maybe they think normies will. It's mostly just inconvenient. Come on, Chase. I used to praise you for being more friendly with using cash and stuff, but maybe I need to slow my roll on that. The El Puma is here and says, woo. Woo to you. Key is here and says, dropping in. Good morning. Good to see you, Key. And the Catman says, not sure if this affects you. Any thoughts on the Capital One acquisition of Discover? I've shared a couple thoughts before. I'll share just a few really basic ones right now. I am a little concerned about cards moving over to the Discover network for usability, both overseas and in weird rural random places. I tried to use my Capital One debit card at an ATM for a small-ish regional bank, and it wouldn't let me because it was moved to the Discover network. So that's a bit of a concern. I used to use my Capital One debit card as my backup international debit card, Charles Schwab first, then Capital One. I probably won't be doing that anymore because at least in Europe, I don't think there's a whole lot of ATMs that take Discover, or at least it's not universal. So that's a concern. But on the bright side, if the Discover It rotating categories card later becomes a Capital One card that you can use with Capital One miles, move it over to your Venture or Venture X. That would be pretty sweet. Check Raise You says Circle K lets you buy gift cards with credit cards. Thank you, Circle K. I appreciate that. Cumberland Farms does as well. Thank you, Cumberland Farms. I appreciate that. Thanks for the hat tip key. Don't have any Cumberland Farms in our area. There are some Circle Ks here and there in Iowa, usually in like rest stops and stuff, so I'll have to keep that in mind. Bill Wright says, I didn't get the Hilton email, but the last couple of stays I got the 2K Diamond State bonus points separate from normal multipliers. That's helpful. A-Tier says, Quick Trips are in Texas. They're in Arizona too. Those are the only states I know for sure. Source King says there's a Grand Victoria Hotel in Bulgaria that's not an SLH property. That could be confusing. And Catman thanks me for the info on Discover. 87 people on board. Let's see if we can clear 90 with some super chats and or super stickers and smashing the thumbs up button. I'll take any amount, even 99 cents. Rex says, speaking of changes to service, the Gemini card is increasing late fees from $8 to $25, or if a $35 payment, $35 if a late payment occurs again within the next 6 billing cycles. Thanks for the info, Rex, but I'm going to be very honest and candid. I don't know what the Gemini card is. And hopefully you're not paying your cards late anyway. Spreadsheet, auto payment, whatever. If you want to let me know what the Gemini card is known for, that'd be great. New Again says, data point. Chase will absolutely deny you both subs and cards if they don't like how you use the bank accounts, i.e. not having a large deposit or balances. Understandable. My working theory is it's better to never have a deposit account with Chase than to have one and risk using it poorly. So I think either go all in or not at all. I know I'm turning down like a bank account bonus with Chase, but I'll gladly give up never getting that $400 bank account bonus if it means keeping a healthy relationship with Chase for years and years and years and being able to do things like strategery with Freedom Flexes. And the last Dugroz data point of the day, this is hat tip to Doctor of Credit. This is related to U.S. Bank. Check your emails. You may be targeted for $75 off a hotel booking of $500 or more, whether you're traveling for work or a family vacation. Simply log in with your U.S. Bank Triple Cash Rewards Business Visa and reserve your hotel. Interesting that they're encouraging you to use a business card for a family vacation, but whatever. And I'm a little unsure here. I saw one blogger that said this is only on business cards and a different blogger that says this is on a variety of credit cards. So I'm not really sure. Now, I'm not really planning to go out and book a hotel for $500 or more with the U.S. Bank travel portal for a net of $425. But A, it's a decent offer. And B, I'm just excited to see U.S. Bank doing something that is actually customer friendly and somewhat usable. So maybe that's kind of an encouraging thing. Rex says Gemini is a crypto rewards card like Coinbase. Okay, I got you there. Chuck Razu says Chase has consistently denied me for years and I'm a PC. Now that probably isn't personal computer. That's probably private client, I'm guessing. Gotcha. So just don't ever bank with Chase. They also have my mortgage, so I really don't want to screw it up. New Again says, bingo, Doug. Closed all my bank Chase accounts 3 days ago. Probably going to close all my Chase cards. No value there for the foreseeable future. Well, I'm with you on the bank account part. Not so much the Chase cards part. I do still find tremendous value in the rotating categories when the time is right. And things like 5X on cell phone, internet and phone providers, Staples, office supply stores over on the Inc. Business Cash, the CIC as it's sometimes called. The Catman drops a 99-cent super sticker. Celebrate. Thank you so much, Catman. I greatly appreciate that. That concludes the Dugroz data points. So we will take a very brief break here and then dive into the theme of the day, which is, did these 3 trips actually pay for themselves? And what you need to keep in mind is that we're going to take our intermission, also known as a bathroom break. And that means that you're going to hear some copyright-free music while I use the loo. It'll be about 90 seconds to 2 minutes. The biology break. I will come back. So talk amongst yourselves. Topic will be worst gas station experience. Go. Almost back, just a quick asthma hit. Okay, thank you to the 81 people who hung in there. Let's see if anybody dropped any good stories about gas stations of any kind. Sally Beery's here and says, good morning from my son, your biggest 8-year-old fan. Hi, Sally's son. Obey your mom. And Bill Wright says, worst gas station experience. Watching a man in Georgia sort of cooked peanuts in a crock pot for the peanuts he wanted to buy, holding them and putting them all back, hands not clean. Yuck. The Critical Chris says worst gas station experience was making the mistake of waiting 15 to 20 minutes in line to save $2 to $3 on a fill-up at Costco. I've heard lots of people say that. My sister is a big Costco shopper, and she will say things like going to Costco on a Saturday morning, including the gas part and people not following instructions and the obvious flow, is the kind of thing that makes you want to become a serial killer sometimes. Source King stopped at a dingy gas station along I-57 in Illinois. Had to go number 2 really bad. The stall in the bathroom was missing one wall, so I was doing my business in full display. Thankfully, no one came in. When you gotta go, you gotta go. Calderd says, my checking from Chase is gone too. I don't know that I have a worst gas station experience ever right off the top of my head, but I remember stopping at a gas station in rural Arizona with my boys when we went to see the Grand Canyon and Horseshoe Gorge and those kind of things. It was not a great bathroom, and somebody had written in graffiti, like on the wall or the paper towel dispenser, like, I've been traveling for 30 years and I've seen a lot of bad gas station bathrooms, and this is the worst one ever, or something like that. So that was just interesting. They took the time to point all that out. With that in mind, let's transition now into the theme of the day. This is the thing we talk about as sort of like the main item. So today's theme of the day is, did these 3 trips actually pay for themselves? So do what my adopted AI daughter's doing here. Grab your clipboard, grab a pen, grab a calculator, and let's dive in and see if Mr. Dugroz reports actually did or will do the thing that he says he does. And we've got 3 different places. We've got a place with leaves, a place with palm trees, and a place with a ocean-bound ferry. So, to be more specific, you need to know a few things, or this may not make a ton of sense. Since the end of last summer, I've taken 3 different trips. The first was a foliage run in Iowa and Minnesota, and that was in October. If you look at a map, I live in the Des Moines area, right kind of in the middle of the state, slightly south of the middle, and I wanted to see fall foliage, so I went north, close to the Minnesota border, and stayed in Clear Lake, Iowa, and then went into the state of Minnesota, like the southern 2 tiers of counties, to look at trees that had their leaves changing colors. In November, I went to Puerto Rico and hung out with Cesar Joel and many others for the 3rd annual Small Points and Miles Content Creator Meetup, and that was an amazing time. Just last month in January, the last few days of January, I went to Galveston, Texas. Galveston, oh Galveston. I'm getting a little out of breath, so I'm going to have to lower my voice here, talk a little quieter, and maybe a little slower. So, yeah, I'm doing good. Okay. But I want to get my pulse down. I've been sick lately, guys, and I apologize for that. So I'm still feeling a little icky. All of these trips were short. The longest of these would be Puerto Rico, which was from a Friday to a Tuesday. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, 5 days total, although Friday was really just show up. So really like a 4-day weekend. All of these trips had different profiles. I did different things. Like the foliage run, for example, I didn't even fly. I just drove. So they all had kind of a different flavor to them. And the goal is, did they pass the net zero test? And I'm going to explain that real quick here. The net zero rule, raise your hand if you remember an internet and email provider back in like the late 90s, very early 2000s called Net Zero. They would send out free CD-ROMs that you could download onto your computer and use that to get online, usually with a dial-up service. In fact, it says you will connect via modem. It kind of looked like that. I think technically they're still around, and it was free internet, which was a big deal at the time. But of course, to pay for it, you got bombarded with advertisements. Net Zero, the ISP, is not what I'm referencing. So since the internet service provider is not what I'm referencing, since 2023, every vacation or getaway I've taken has been a $0 net impact to my family budget. For example, or another way of saying it is, the game must pay for itself. I personally do not have a line item in my family budget for travel. I'm not going to get into the philosophy part of this today in terms of why I do this. Now, if we get to a Q&A at the end and you want to ask that, I'll try to give you the real short answer. Sometime in the second quarter, or maybe a little before, I do plan to drop a video that's a little more detailed on this. So I can explain that sometime. But the short answer is, because I'm kind of a middle income, maybe the lower half of middle class, I just don't want to fall into a luxury trap where I'm traveling more than I normally would. So as long as I follow this rule, I know I'm not inhibiting my family budget. I can be emotionally assured that I am playing the game in a way that doesn't take away from something else financially. All right. The net zero rule continued here. Some things are paid directly with points, and this doesn't impact dollars or family budget in any way. For example, 5,000 Hyatt points. Let's say I go somewhere, book a category 1 Hyatt. I pay for the whole thing with Hyatt points, 5,000 points. You know, that doesn't really require any accounting because I know it came from points. But I do track my spending on all the other stuff: food, attractions, transit, taxes. That's a big one. If you fly, you're always going to have to pay taxes, possibly taxes and fees. If you fly international business class, you're probably going to pay a lot of taxes. So make sure you keep track of that. I also track my annual fees on the card and take that into account. I subtract statement credits, coupons, pay yourself back, etc. So just a quick example. Let's say that I stay at a Hilton. I have a Hilton Surpass, and it's a cash stay. And I get a $50 quarterly credit that will appear on my Surpass card a week or so after the stay. That is a statement credit. So I subtract that out. Once I've done that, all the spending minus the statement credits, etc., that tells me the true cash that I used out of pocket that I need to make some sort of final accounting for. And then I will reimburse my family account that amount. So I have a personal family checking account with Wells Fargo. I have a Charles Schwab travel account. And if on a net basis I was able to get a trip down to, let's say, $200, once I've paid all my credit cards and stuff the way I normally do, I have to send $200 from the travel account to the family budget. And that's how it nets out to zero. I will pause for a moment here and catch up on comments. And some of the comments include Catman saying, sometimes Speedway rewards will give more than the 0.11 discount with promo offers. That's good to know. I haven't been to a Speedway in a long time. FLXNY says, I love that I can combine Speedway rewards with Upside. I can do the same thing with Rakuten Dining and Upside, in addition to the rewards of the card itself, of course. Awesome. Way to stack those points. Father 7875 says, when will you reveal you have the black Amex card? Tell you what, if I'm still doing points and miles YouTubing in my 60s, give me a friendly reminder and I'll come back to that. The Catman does remember Net Zero and had Juno too. Juno was like the email. You know what's weird is every once in a while I'll see an email from Juno still. There's a guy in our church who has a Juno email, and he sends you an email that'll put like, you know, a one-line advertisement with a link at the bottom of the email. And it's kind of embarrassing because sometimes, I mean, this is like a pillar of the church, you know, conservative, upstanding Christian gentleman. And like, he'll send you an email that's like, oh, remember, we're having a potluck on the 17th. And at the bottom of Juno, there'll be a link to like sexy lingerie. Click here or something like that. Calderd says, Dugraz, have you visited all 50 states or missing any? Sadly, I've not visited all 50 states. I'm missing several, especially the Pacific Northwest and the Mountain West. I'm missing Alaska, Hawaii, Washington, Oregon, Idaho, Montana, North Dakota. I've been to South Dakota, but not North. So yeah, I've got a little catching up to do. New Again says, Doug, but it's important to let people know that plenty of data points last 2 years or so where Chase denies people subs of cards for having no Chase bank accounts. Chase policies are far more schizophrenic than Capital One. That's true. It is important to let people know that, and I hereby let you know that. You might have no Capital One demand deposit accounts like checking or savings and still be denied for Chase cards. It's hard to know. They are very schizophrenic and unpredictable. I'm with you there. I was just operating on a theory. My theory wasn't so much I get approved because I don't have any Chase deposit accounts. It's more like I avoid the risk of shutdown because I don't have any Chase demand deposit accounts. Check Raise You says, believe me or not, but somehow I've managed to live my entire life without a budget. I believe you. You know, with the advent of online banking, you can do that. If someone asked me, do you have a budget? I would say it depends on what you mean. I have a framework of a budget. I have concepts of a budget, and I do track categories, but it's not like on January 1st every year I make a spreadsheet that says we are only going to spend $700 a month on groceries. Check says, or I just budget naturally without thinking about it. I did make a like hard and fast budget in 2018. A couple times I've made an adjustment for like cost of living just to check myself. Sleepy Rod says, is the rule that the game must pay for itself only possible with subs? How did you follow that rule before Points and Miles game? Great question. I did not follow it before I got into Points and Miles. I budgeted a teeny tiny amount for travel prior to 2019. The last trip my family took before I got into Points and Miles was we went to a cabin in Missouri, near Cuba, Missouri. And I think I budgeted like $750 for that entire year of travel. From 2019, when I got into Points and Miles, to 2023, I was not able to follow the rule because you have to have some momentum, some points, some bank account bonuses. So it's not something you can get into immediately. Ron's catching up from lunch break with the family. I used embossed number in 2011 in Ireland or Northern Ireland. US cards didn't have a chip at the time, and the machine didn't take the magnetic stripe. Yeah, I remember there was a big kerfluffle maybe 10 to 15 years ago about Europeans saying, like, why don't Americans use chip and pin? And it really caused an issue for a while. But we're past that point now. Thanks, Ron. All right, back to the main event, also known as Theme of the Day. Let's keep working our way through this. Oops, snorting on camera. Don't do that, Doug. By the way, I like how this guy's member ID is member ID. All right, resuming Theme of the Day in 5, 4, 3. Nope, I said that wrong. 5, 4, 3. So once we get to that net number at the end where I can't cover it with points, I can't cover it with pay yourself back, I can't cover it with statement credits or any of my 1,000 little tricks, in order to cover travel, there are 2 steps. The first resort would be my Charles Schwab travel savings account will be tapped into to reimburse my family budget for that travel. This is just a basic money market that's tied to a checking account. So whether it's in the money market or checking account, either way, that money belongs to my travel account. How do I fund that Charles Schwab account? It's with things like bank account sign-up bonuses, true cash back cards, check raise. You mentioned the PayPal debit card. That's one of them goes into that Charles Schwab account. US Bank Cash Plus on gym memberships and utilities. That goes in there. The Amex Blue Business. No, I said that wrong. The Amex Blue Cash Preferred or Blue Cash Everyday, like 3% cash back on gas, 6x on streaming. That goes in there. If I get a statement credit on something that's for my family that I would use anyway, that goes in there. So the $7 monthly credit goes in there for Hulu or Disney Plus, that kind of stuff. So that's the first resort. And then the final or last resort is pennies. You might remember, if you're old enough, here in America, we used to have this coin called a penny, and it's worth 1 cent or 1/100th of a dollar. So some Points and Miles programs allow you to cash out for a penny each, and that's my last resort if I have to cash out penny points. So today we're going to use this chart here, and interestingly, ChatGPT helped me make this chart. I thought that was kind of cool. I was in a hurry, so I didn't take the time to modify it, but it's good enough. So this is the RIP Trip Accounting Overview. I didn't mention this because most of you already know. A RIP Trip stands for Rental in Plane, which is usually a rental car, in lodging, plane, pretty obvious. If you have all 3 of those things, it's a RIP trip. And although any trip, no matter how fancy, even a 5-week-long luxury vacation to Hong Kong could be a RIP trip, I generally use the terminology RIP trip for those short weekend getaways, 2 to 5 days, kind of hop on a plane, go somewhere, rent a car, drive around, go see graveyards, monuments, waterfalls, whatever, stay at a hotel, an Airbnb, a Wyndham, whatever, and then fly back home. That's generally what I mean by a RIP trip. Kind of rip these pages out of your calendar and go take a trip. So we're going to track the points used and then cash spend, credits applied, the true out-of-pocket cash. ChatGPT wants you to know that points are displayed for reference only. Cash and credits determine the true out-of-pocket cost. So you can think of this vertical line here as being more thick. This column is just for reference. We don't actually, you can't say 100,000 Hilton points minus $26 equals this. You don't do that. You take cash minus cash equals cash. Hopefully that makes sense. And if it doesn't make sense, hang in there because I'll explain it in just a few moments. Nuracan supports the channel with a $2.99 super sticker. Celebrate, celebrate. Thank you so much, Nuracan. I really appreciate it. And Tom Graber comes through with one Dugroz Reports membership. That donated membership is just as good as a $3 super chat. Celebrate, celebrate. Thank you so much, Tom. I really appreciate it. Moving on here, 5, 4, 3. So trip number 1, the foliage. One of my favorite comedians is Jim Gaffigan, and he has this whole bit where he talks about how people want to look at the foliage, and he uses this generic old lady type voice. So a couple key features of this trip involved, well, on the left, actual nice foliage. I'm just a sucker for this time of year. There's that 2 to 3 week window in usually like late October into early November where the leaves are just right. It depends on rain, weather, a variety of factors, but I will actually drive to a whole nother destination in the Midwest just to have it align with fall foliage. I did that with Springfield, Illinois 2 years ago. I did it with southern Minnesota, northern Iowa, around Clear Lake last year. So that's the motivation. Even though I could have driven my own car, I actually rented a car, which is the middle picture. I chose poorly. I chose a Toyota Prius. I should have chosen something like a Toyota Camry instead, because man, those cars are hard. If you're more than like 5'5", those cars are hard to get in and out of. But I did use a rental car, even though I have a car, I could have driven it myself. One is so I didn't put wear and tear on my own car. And two is now that I have teenage boys that are driving, they don't have their own car yet. Leaving 2 cars at home makes the family happier. And then I got to see some miscellaneous small interesting things, like bottom right, picture of the world's largest statue of a bullhead in Crystal Lake, Iowa. And here's just a few more pictures of things I did. We won't concentrate on this a lot, but again, the foliage. I quietly got to sit at a lake called Big Island State Park in Minnesota. This is the top of a lookout tower in Pilot Knob, Iowa, and a cool old mill next to a man-made dam and waterfall in Fertile, Iowa. So I won't read this to you line by line, but this one is so easy. Everything fits on one page. You can just take a look here. I break it down by travel, miscellaneous, gas, dining, snacks, and then we have a subtotal. We take out the credits and we have the total. Just to hit a few highlights, the only 2 travel expenses here, like I said, no flying, was the car rental through Enterprise, which was $109. Pick it up on a Friday, return it on a Sunday late. And by late, I'm talking like almost midnight. So 3 days, $109, like $36 a day, not too bad, something like that. And then the only lodging I used was 2 nights at a Wyndham in Clear Lake, Iowa. This was the American, just sort of your entry level roadside, kind of like a Holiday Inn Express level type thing. Part of the reason I did this is because Wyndham had a promotion going on where if I did it right, 2 nights with the credit card, there was a one-time bonus you would earn. I don't remember what it was, something like 29,000 Wyndham points. And it was enough Wyndham points that the points were more valuable than the stay itself. So it's sort of like a in-person mattress run kind of thing, a mattress run where you actually stay. So I combined this good deal. Unfortunately, I found out about 2 weeks after I was done that Wyndham was dropping their partnership with Vacasa. So it is what it is. Paid $7 to access Sakata Lake State Park, which actually got me into 2 state parks technically. Paid for a little bit of gas. Dining, only ate at 2 restaurants. The Bennigans in Clear Lake, Iowa. Proud transfer partner of Dugroz Reports, and an independent place called the Thirsty Fox in Albert Lee, Minnesota. The rest of my dining was just eating snacks in the car. This was a Mr. Roz trip, definitely. There was nothing fancy about this trip whatsoever. This was like a 2-star hotel type trip. Some snacks, and then the subtotal came to $441.59. The only offset I was able to use was the travel eraser on my Capital One Venture X, which was used to book the rental car, and that took off $109 and change, bringing the total cost to this trip to $331.70. So with that total of $331, you might be thinking the same thing that I'm thinking. Why are points? Well, it's true. This trip was a earning trip, not a burning trip. Points used were 0. I didn't use a single point on this trip. And I suppose the moral of the story is, yes, even the biggest cheapskate in the world, Dugroz himself, can occasionally just pay cash for a trip. So let's go ahead and put that onto our graphic here. Points used, 0. And then for cash spend, we have $442. I'm rounding to the nearest whole dollar, so it may not perfectly round correctly. $110 in credits applied. True out-of-pocket cost, $332. So I either have to dip into travel savings or cash out penny points to offset that $332. But we're going to get all three results before I start dipping into stuff. Catching up on points here. Ron said, I got an update on my DoorDash. Check your Discord direct message. Great, I will do that. Catman says, I'll never forget your video where you went to a section of Illinois that's west of the Mississippi River. Well, thank you so much, Catman. I appreciate that because only like 100 people have ever watched that video. So I'm glad that I have a few dedicated fans. Let's see. Can I remember the name of that town? Starts with a V. Anybody spot me? Can't remember it. A-Tier says, since you have not been to Oregon, I'd recommend Crater Lake. It's breathtaking. You're like the third person to recommend that, interestingly. People know I like water and scenic vistas. Now, here's the question. I'm not in the greatest shape in the world. Can you get there with only minimal hiking? Kind of dad bod hiking. Jesus Chris drops a W to feed the algorithm. And Source King says, I'm doing a rip trip to Toronto, except no rental car. And instead of foliage and presidential burial sites, I'm doing hockey and fine dining. Hey, celebrate. I support that. I would love to go to Toronto someday. I think I'd like to go to Montreal also. I've heard people say things like, if you can't get to Europe, Montreal's kind of close. Let me know if you agree with that or not. All right, so we'll resume the theme of the day here. Remember, I'll still take those thumbs up and those super chats. I don't think we ever cleared 90 people. We're hanging out in the 80s, which is okay, but won't break any kind of record. 5, 4, 3. Trip number 2, Puerto Rico. And yes, this was in conjunction with the Credit Card Creator Points and Miles meetup. I did rent a car. There's a picture of it there up in the mountains of Puerto Rico. I do have a very fine driving in Puerto Rico video over on my sister channel, Driving with Dugroz. I don't have a link, but just go to YouTube and type in Driving with Dugroz. You'll find it. The hotel I stayed at there in the middle with an embedded picture of me in the pool. And I did fly on the plane. I got business class for the very last leg, which was from Dallas back to Des Moines, sitting next to a lady who didn't want any social interaction, but that's totally fine. Other key features include the beautiful vistas of Puerto Rico. I took an afternoon, about 2 or 3 hours to drive up into the mountains southeast of San Juan, and it was totally worth it. That was the highlight of my trip. So glad I did it. And I've said this before, and I'll say it again. Sometimes you have a moment that lasts 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and the entire trip is worth it for those 15 minutes. And this was definitely one of those experiences. As far as Dugroz Eats, if Rewards Master's still on board, he knows what I'm talking about here. Had this amazing can pork chop at a restaurant. Look at that piece right there. A little bit of meat, a little bit of fat. Oh my word, that was so good. It's kind of hard to tell, but like the bone kind of wraps around the rice here. That was just an amazing pork chop. The best traditional pork chop I've ever had was in Washington, D.C., but the best non-traditional pork chop, exotic pork chop I've ever had was there. I was thinking Puerto Rico would be like spicy food, like Mexican, but it's not, or at least it's not necessarily spicy. It's more like savory food. I would go back to Puerto Rico just to eat there. It was that good. And then, of course, the friends, the people, the people that I got to hang out with. And please don't be offended if I don't have a picture of you personally, but they're on the right, me, Hermano, Cesar, Joel, and myself. And then on the left, got Stan the Credit Frog, Stan the Credit Frog, Chad Pennycuff, and myself on a beach on the eastern part of the island. That was a lot of fun. And I should mention I had a couple meals on this trip that were covered not by points and miles, but by friendly people. So this picture on the left was the very first meal I went to. Me, Stan, Chase, Spencer, and a fan. I think his name was Gary. Gary, if you're watching, I apologize if anybody can spot me and confirm. That is, in fact, Gary. The first restaurant we went to, I only got something small, like I don't remember, it was an appetizer, just a little tiny meal, because I wasn't very hungry because I had a really big breakfast at the hotel. But Gary's like, hey, this is on me, guys. And he just straight up paid for our meal. So thank you, Gary. And then on the right, there's Chad and Stan at a little cafe out in the rural parts of Puerto Rico, right across from the ocean. Look at that. Chad and I weren't that hungry, so we agreed to split an appetizer. And since we used my rental car, Chad's like, hey, this one's on me. So I didn't have to pay for it. The appetizer platter on the bottom. By the way, those look like banana chips, but they're plantain chips, and they were pretty good. Let's talk about points real quick. The ambassador of the island himself, Cesar Joel, said, if you're not staying where most people are, which was a place called the Hilton Caribe, check out the DoubleTree. It's pretty good. And I agreed with him. Although they did have one little knock on them, that they didn't let me use my food and beverage credit for an evening meal. They said they only allowed it in the morning. So little thumbs down. But everything else was great. The DoubleTree in San Juan, Puerto Rico, I paid 60,000 Hilton points per bedroom per night for the first 2 nights. And that was a 1-king room. If you're wondering what that comes out to, that's 0.79 cents per point on the Hilton side, which is actually really good for Hiltons. Anything over half a cent is pretty good. On the third night, I used a free night certificate, so didn't pay anything at all. And then on the fourth night, I paid 65K points per night. The value wasn't as good here. It was 5,000 points more, even though the cash rate was less. So this only came out to 0.4 cents per point. I thought about going to a different hotel for the last night or the last 2 nights, but I'm like, I don't want to pack my stuff up for just the last 1 or 2 nights. So I'll just pay the less desirable rate. So even though it's not as good cents per point, I got to stay in the same place, didn't have to unpack my stuff, and it was a perfectly cromulent hotel. So no regrets there. Let's talk about some other non-cash expenses, or looking up all of the non-cash expenses. Hey, that's right, Cesar, that is Puerto Rico. It was good times, and it was you. You're right. Sorry, this is kind of small here. I don't have any way of blowing it up, but this is just covering the non-cash expenses, points, or things a lot like points. My return trip from San Juan back to Des Moines was 100% paid for with leftover American Airlines credit in the Amex portal, an old 35% rebate. So you know how the business platinum card, which I don't have anymore, but my wife had it at the time of this booking, gives you a 35% rebate on your chosen airline. So I had booked something with Amex on American Airlines for a different trip. That didn't work out, canceled it, and it was a refundable fare. But when you book through the Amex travel portal, their rule is you have to use it on the same airline and within a year. In fact, it might be the same person. So fortunately, I had this come up. I don't remember the exact amount. It was around $300 for that return ticket, one way in economy. I did select my seat, and I'll cover that in a little bit. So I had that credit, and I ended up using almost all of it. It ended up being like $298 and change. So I'm like, hey, this credit's going to expire. Let's just use it. So that was 100% covered with Amex points. There was no cash out of pocket whatsoever. Even the taxes and fees were covered with the Amex points, which ultimately became that credit. And then 185,000 Hilton points, which we just mentioned, 3 of the 4 nights at the DoubleTree, 1 night on a free night certificate. And then for the flight to get to San Juan, I used, remember the old Chase portal when it was 1.5x on everything? That's what I used. I booked it through the Chase portal, some with points, some with cash because I wanted to trigger a different credit, which I'll get to in just a few moments, and leave enough that I would get travel protections on my CSR. So I needed to pay at least a little bit with cash. I don't recall the amount of points. I think it was like $150 I covered in points, $150 I covered with cash. So, with the 1.5 modifier, it'd be around 10,000 chase points. I don't remember exactly. I apologize. But the bottom line is anything that's not listed in the spreadsheet was covered with points. So we don't have to worry about forgetting to count it. Before I get into the details, I'll take just a second to catch up on comments here. Mike Newland drops the 149 super sticker and earns himself 1,000 Dugroz points. Home run. Celebrate. Thanks so much, Mike. I really appreciate it. Some people were talking about doing things in Oregon or something like that. Catman said, I've been around a while, like when there was 100 subs. Oh, wait, no, this is back to him watching my video where I went to that one town in Illinois that was the old capital and is on the wrong side of the Mississippi River. I've been around for a while, like when there was 100 subs. I still remember when we didn't know what Wells Fargo was going to do with the Propel card. Long time ago. Thanks for being a supporter for a long time, Catman. Nuracan says, drive down the Oregon coast starting in Astoria. Very breathtaking. Hey, you guys. I'm not sure what hey, you guys means, but I'll take the breathtaking part. A-tier says, you just drive and then enjoy the view if you want. It's part of a national park. This is Crater Lake. They have an inn that has a restaurant, a very large porch to sit in rocking chairs and enjoy the view. I will do that someday. Calderd says +1 on Crater Lake. You can drive right up to it. A-tier says, the best Puerto Rican food I had last time was the fresh fried fish. I'm going there next week and looking forward to having some again. Awesome. Go to the restaurant that I will be referencing in a little bit and get the can pork chop. Nuracan says, I'm sad here in Vegas. The only Puerto Rican restaurant we had closed down recently. Oh, that is sad. 91 people on board. We briefly cleared 90. Thank you, everyone. Nuracan said that last line is from the Goonies. What was that? What was that line again? Hey, you guys. Oh, hey, you guys. The guy with the weird head. Can't remember his name. Is it Moog or something like that? That's beside the point. Okay. Back to the points. 5, 4, 3. All right, so here's all of the expenses for Puerto Rico. Not going to read them all. I'm just going to hit the highlights. This is the transport section, both transit and transport. The aforementioned Chase Travel Portal, the part that I booked that was cash was $162, and then like another $150-ish on points. The reason I did that is because I still had around $150 left in my $300 annual travel credit on the CSR at that point. I got an Alamo car rental for $268 and paid just a couple tolls. I will say the tolls that I got in Puerto Rico were way more reasonable than the tolls I got in Galveston. Uber and Lyfts to the airport. I bought some seat upgrades, including the upgrade from premium Comfort Plus up to business class in the last leg. I had to fly in regular old economy on the first leg from Puerto Rico to Dallas, and that's like a 5-hour flight, 4 hour and 45 minutes, something like that. So I was going to spoil myself for those last 2 hours. I said Old San Juan parking meal, reimbursed. That means the parking garage was reimbursed. So I paid $5 on my card, and then somebody handed me a $5 bill as a courtesy, which I appreciate. All the Hilton charges that weren't covered by points, which would be like dining that was above and beyond my gold member benefits. I did have to pay for some parking. I got something out of the gift shop, so on and so forth. All that put together totaled $198.87. And that totals $904 of transportation. Quite a bit more expensive than going to look at the leaves in southern Minnesota. Dining and snacks on this screen, just hitting a few highlights. Several of us on the last full day ate at a place called Fugo de Chao. Sledge paid for it, and then we Venmo'd them because they wouldn't let us split it up. Like $90 by the time I factored in tip and fee. There was a place Chad Pennycuff and I stopped at called Martin's Barbecue, $10, very good. Barachin was the place with the awesome pork chop. And then T Mobile Center Restaurant, I paid cash because they wouldn't let us pay individually. That's sort of one of the things that happens when a bunch of points and miles people get together. We all want to pay for our own meal, but there's like 10 people per table. And they're like, no, one credit card per table. It's happened twice now. So Juan from the MIA, I don't know if you're on board, a longtime fan. He was working on a sign-up bonus. I said something like, all right, whoever pays needs to be someone working on a sign-up bonus. And Juan's like, I am working on a sign-up bonus. Like, all right, you pay. And I just handed him $30 or whatever it was. I will admit there's a little bit of estimating. I think it was $30. Juan, if you have the exact amount, let me know. In terms, $169 in dining. In terms of just snacks, water, this is just like buying pops and peanuts and stuff. $30. I only had one miscellaneous item. That was $21 to get some personal items at a Walgreens. And then I only had to pay for gas once. For some reason, my car was very fuel efficient. $25 exactly. So that brings our subtotal to $1,151. I used the VentureX Travel Eraser to cover part of my rental car. $110 came off. I was and still am low on Capital One points, so I couldn't cover the whole thing. I mentioned the cash part of my trip to San Juan was a mix of points and cash through the Chase portal, and the cash portion got credited back from the CSR, $153. Uber was paid for with a gift card. Somebody gifted it to me. Somebody gave me a gift card, not at the meetup, but on a previous occasion. So since that was a gift, I factored it in at the top in the transit section. So I want to know how much it would cost a normal person, but then I subtract it back out. Since it was a gift, I didn't pay for it. The $5 bill somebody handed me to pay for the parking in Old San Juan. And of course, the big hero was the Aeroplan card. Lots of charges were able to go on the Aeroplan card and pay myself back. A total of $413, to be more specific, was able to be paid back. What's even better is the Hilton actually overcharged me. I'm just making up a number here. Let's say they charged me $400 and then credited me back $300, which appeared as a separate statement credit, but I could still pay myself back on the original $400. So that's part of the way I was able to get that up so high. Parking in the DoubleTree, meals, those kind of things. So if we take the subtotal of $1,151, subtract out all those credits, we've got $440.50 that needs to be covered from the family budget. So if we pull up our graphic here and fill that in, 185,000 Hilton points were used. And that's not a cash thing, just for reference, as chat wants us to know. These are only displayed for reference. $1,150 spent, 710 in total credits, brings the true cash out of pocket to $441. 2 out of 3 done. Let's catch up on some comments here. PDX Beach says, North Oregon coast is my backyard. If you travel here, it's hard to do a short trip if you want to see the best parts of the state. How much driving would I have to do to get from the nearest major airport to Crater Lake? Texas Dog has arrived and drops $1.99 as a super chat. Howdy, y'all. Howdy. Celebrate. Thank you so much. I stopped at a Buc-ee's for the first time in my life in Texas last month. So the howdy made me think of that. A-Tier says tolls in Houston are brutal. I've got a story on that. I'll save it for the Galveston section. Source King says, definitely. I've taken trips to Montreal to feel closer to home. Quebec is supposedly even more European. Makes sense. Alex says, I haven't been to Puerto Rico, but when I go, I want to have a tripleta. Bad Bunny told Stephen Colbert on his late night show that it's his favorite. Okay, I don't know what that is, but it sounds amazing. Ziza says, do you mean Barranchilla, not Baraka? Yes, that is what I mean. I probably spelled it wrong. Yeah, the name of the restaurant was Barranchillas or something like that. Stinky Monkey Baby says, I'm late, but happy Saturday. Happy Saturday, Stinky Monkey. Good to see you. All right, we'll go ahead and move on. Speaking of Houston, Galveston, etc., 5, 4, 3. Trip number 3, Galveston, oh Galveston. There's me on a January day in Galveston, sweater vest, Long sleeve shirt, but better than Iowa most of the time, although we've had a few warm days recently. And then the picture on the right is me on the DeWitt Sea Greer, which is a ferry that'll take you from Galveston over to Point Bolivar to look at the lighthouse. First time I have driven on a car ferry in my adult life. Not that I drove when I was a kid. When I was a kid, I was a passenger. There's the sunset from the place that I stayed. Very beautiful. Excuse me. That's the sunrise, not the sunset. On the right, the aforementioned Point Bolivar Lighthouse. And then the minivan is the rental car I got. It was through National. And, if you're like, I don't remember what they call it, gold level, president's level, whatever, or above, you get to pick any car on the row. And the most comfortable one was a minivan. So I went with a minivan. Where did I stay? What points did I use? The only points I used directly for the Galveston trip was 27,000 Wyndham points. And if you look kind of carefully here, it's a small-ish print. You'll see it says Vacasa free night redemption, 1 bedroom, 27,000 points. Remember way back when in November of 2025, you used to be able to book Vacasa properties using Wyndham points. Unfortunately, as I mentioned earlier, that partnership has come to an end. I don't know why I just flipped a coin, but I did. That partnership has come to an end, unfortunately. The last date that you could use it was January 31st. You want to know when I used it? The last 2 days of January. So I took it right up to the end. The name of this Vacasa was called Gone Golfin', which was a condominium inside a resort. It's kind of hard to see, but there's a line right about here behind the palm tree. Everything to the right, which is the east, is the condominium section. Everything to the left is the hotel section or the resort. It's called the San Luis Resort. So the room was called Gone Golfin'. The resort was called the San Luis Resort. And it's built on top of a 19th century U.S. fort built in like the late 1800s. Right here, you can see the remnants of it. You're not allowed to go in there. It's roped off, unfortunately. I bet there's some spooky skeletons and stuff inside there. And I also thought it was amusing. There's a helipad out front. I like to think at least once, someone like President Trump or someone important has stayed there. I like using the helipad. It's one of the best ones there is. Something along those lines. And here's a view out the window of the Gulf of fill in the blank that you can see from the balcony there in the Gone Golfin'. How did this break out? I'll hit some of the highlights. Transportation. I booked a cash ticket on United round trip, cancelable, for 2 people for 783 points. This was originally going to be my wife and I, but because of both sickness and some circumstances changing with her schedule, she was not able to go. So I ended up canceling one of the 2 tickets, which got a refund of $391. Now, I put the charge on my Aeroplan card and paid myself back for the whole thing. So what that ended up doing was creating a nice, large slush fund of other things I could use because I had more in credits than the actual charge. I had $780 worth of pay yourself back credits, but only $400 worth of charges. I did rent a car. This one's through National. It was only $146 for 2 days. I drove to see the grave of George Herbert Walker Bush in College Station. Spent a lot of time driving that first day. Ubers and Lyfts to get to where I need to go. And there's the part about tolls. So $52 in tolls. And then like just a few days ago, a second line for additional toll charges appeared. I wonder if that was something to do with like taxes on the tolls that came in later, 133 pennies, $1.33. But yeah, by the time you add those 2 together, you've got more than $53 in tolls. I was only there 2 days. I drove from the Bush Airport up to College Station, back down through around Houston, stopped at Buc-ee's, stopped at a couple other places down to Galveston. And what's frustrating is like when I first rented the car, there weren't any instructions on how to do the tolls. So I called National and asked, and they said, oh, well, in Texas, it's all done by the license plate. So you don't have to have a transponder or anything. They'll just take a picture of the license plate, bill us, then we'll pass the charges on to you. And I was like, well, how much is the charge? He was like, oh, don't worry. It's only like $5.99 a day. I'm like, oh, no matter how much, it's only $5.99 a day. Yeah, it's not very expensive. Well, I later come to find out what he meant is National charges you $5.99 a day for using tolls. That's their processing fee. Not the state of Texas charges you that much. So Of that $52, like $10 was from National. The other 40 was from Texas. So that's how I had such high toll charges. So if you could please explain that a little better next time. Worst explanation ever. Oh, did I say $699 in transport and transit? And then as far as miscellaneous, there wasn't much. $5.50. Gas, only $35. Only had to fill up twice. That picture at the bottom is, I think I mentioned this before, like 2 out of every 3 gas stations in Texas has a Mexican restaurant inside of it. Here's a Fuel Max, and they had a taco corner inside, which was some lady that just made a taco or burrito. I got that for breakfast. Got this honking breakfast burrito there. Dining, just to hit a few highlights. I ate twice at Blake's Bistro, which was inside the resort. And my first, in fact, my only ever use of City Nights that is a legitimate use, $39 at Salsa's restaurant. And then as I was leaving in the Bush Airport, there's a Priority Pass restaurant called Landry's, $27 for the charge, $6 as a cash tip, which is these 3 $2 bills over here. $6 cash tip that I got from my friend Brian Jackson when he reimbursed me for something. Various snacks here, including the breakfast burrito, $37. So when we add all that up, the subtotal, $920. Paid myself back on the airfare, $765, even though I only used half of that. The seat upgrade fee, $35. Pay yourself back. I had booked the rental car through Capital One's portal, and because I signed up for a new Saver card, it was a sign-up bonus plus a $100 coupon. And yes, I was able to pay with my Venture X, but use the credit from the Saver. So that knocked $100 off the cost of the rental car. Once again, the Uber gift card I got was a actual gift card. I've started asking for Uber gift cards as a gift when I don't know what to ask for, because you can just add it in and it saves in these kind of things. Took that off, and then the Priority Pass was covered, Landry's restaurant, because I still have my altitude reserve, the 8 Priority Pass visits per year. I'd only used 4 in my card member year, so I still had 4 to spare. Used 1 more. The card member year is up right now, so I won't use the last 3. So I only had to pay the $6 in tips. It took off the actual charge itself. So the total of this trip cost me negative $38. I'm like this guy here. I'm in the money. I got $38. So that $38 is actually a net. I have such a big credit on my Aeroplan card right now that it's actually a negative balance. So I'll just buy groceries and things on my Aeroplan card that I would normally buy with my family budget, and my family budget saves. So that's negative net money that I owe my family budget, $38. So filling in the graphic here, we used 27,000 Wyndham points there at the Gone Gulf and Vacasa. Last chance ever. $920 spent in cash, $959 in credits applied. True out-of-pocket cost, negative $39. So now you see part of the reason I want to wait and group them all together is because Galveston is basically helping to offset Puerto Rico and the foliage trip. That's a good place to stop and catch up on comments here. Again, A-Tier said Houston tolls are brutal. They sure are. I thought about like going way around or taking non-toll roads, but I already spent like 7 hours on the Bush gravesite thing, and I'm like, it would have added like 2 more hours. PDX says, regarding to visit Crater Lake, I'd probably just fly into PDX. Is that Portland, I'm assuming, to maximize your time. I think Allegiant has direct flights. From PDX, it's about a 5-hour drive. You could plan a scenic route. That's a little on the long side for a traditional RIP trip, so this might be like an empty nester vacation once Mrs. Dugroz and I have our kids kicked out of the house. Okay, not kicked. Nuracan says, I think Eugene, Oregon gets you closer to Crater Lake. Good point. One of my favorite Simpsons quotes is there's an episode where it's like they're pretending to be Lewis and Clark, and Lenny is one of them, and he said, let's give this land a name worthy of its beauty, Eugene, Oregon. PDX says, flying back from Medford to Eugene would be closer, but it would involve connections. Redmond would get you into Central Oregon. If it's just me by myself, I'm okay with connections. I wonder if I could connect in Denver or Salt Lake City. Mrs. Dugroz doesn't like layovers as much, so she'd probably prefer the driving. DEM says, speaking of President Trump, my home airport, Palm Beach, is about to get its name changed to Donald J. Trump International. I saw that. Very interesting. New Again wants to know if I'm working on any subs right now or plan to. I'm not right now. In March, I'm probably going to do a 0% interest card because I have some big-ish purchases coming out they want to spread out, and some other stuff. So that would fit me well. My wife still doesn't have a Wells Fargo autograph, so that's on the short list. Mike says, turn off tolls when in Texas, always on Google Maps. Again, it would have added like 2 hours to my driving, though. A-tier says, the tolls don't communicate well with each other in Texas, so sometimes the tolls are delayed, which is annoying. Okay, so maybe that $1.38 was just a delayed charge then, not something related to taxes. All right, pressing ahead here. I'm very proud of the 81 of you who have stayed on board this long. Thank you for doing so. Las Vegas to Eugene has one nonstop on Southwest. Seasonally, I can go from Des Moines to Las Vegas direct, so maybe that would work out. I'm less opposed to Southwest now that they have assigned seating, actually. I know some people feel differently. There was our graphic for the final, like what we're looking at here, but we got to add them up. So resuming in 5, 4, 3. So net out of pocket for all three put together. When you add those numbers up, that comes out to $734. And I've decided I'm going to do my internal accounting for these 3 trips put together. So I apologize. I know some people really like my Rip Trip videos. They don't play really well. This live stream will be those 3 Rip Trips. I'm not going to make a separate video for each 3. I might rework this video as a clip show. We'll just have to be satisfied with that. The big question is, where will it come from? I don't know. I don't really have a plan, and I haven't reimbursed my family budget yet. So I've never made a hard and fast rule, but I have kind of a framework of a rule for myself that I need to do the trip breakdown. In other words, do all my accounting within 6 months of when I actually take the trip. It's better if I do it sooner because that way I don't have to go back to old credit card statements, but at least within 6 months. And then from the time I do the breakdown, I have to reimburse my family budget within 6 months. Is 6 months reasonable? I just kind of made it up, but 6 months is a year. So within a year of any travel, my family budget will have been reimbursed. Yes, you could make an argument about, well, there's some interest earnings my family could have had, but I'm not going to get that granular. There's also arguments like, well, if my whole family's on vacation and we eat out, that minimizes our family eating budget. So those things kind of cancel out. You know, if you buy a money order for $1, did that come out of your family budget or your travel? I'm like, all these things kind of cancel out, all these little tiny arguments. Just reimburse the family budget within 1 year and don't worry about the interest. So $734, that's the figure that I need to work with. As of yesterday, my Charles Schwab travel savings account has a total of $462.41. And I know some of you aren't into math, so I'll do it for you. 734 is more than 462. So I don't have enough money in my travel savings account right now to do all that accounting. What are some things that might change in the next 6 months? The biggest one is I have done a bank account sign-up bonus with Wings Federal Credit Union that gives a $100 gift card plus $300 cash. The $100 gift card I've already got, and that was functionally cashed out and then put into that Charles Schwab account. So that's already been accounted for. So that $300 is pending, and it should land in my account by the middle of March, according to their terms and conditions. However, I have a little bit of fear because when I signed up for the account, I was under the impression I had to make 5 debit card transactions of $10 or more. I could have sworn that's what it said on the website and on Doctor of Credit, But I got an email later where I read the terms and conditions and said, you have to make 5 debit card transactions of $25 or more, which I didn't do. About half the transactions were over $25, things like paying my water bill just to get it done, a couple Amazon reloads. So what I did is I quickly went in and made 3 more transactions of $25. The guts of the terms and conditions say from the day you open the account, you have to make 5 debit card transactions of $25 or more. I didn't get all 5 of them in. I got like 3 of them in on day 63. But Wings Credit Union keeps sending me emails that says, just make sure you've met these conditions to get the sign-up bonus. And every other part of the sign-up bonus just says, like, you have to do it by March 13th or whatever the deadline is. By the way, this offer is no longer open, but as long as you started back in November, you still had it. So honestly, I don't know if they're going to pay me off or not. If they go with the intent of the offer, if their computer system is programmed to say just make sure that they made all the direct deposits, they had the minimum opening amount, and they did the debit card transactions by March 13th, then I'm golden. But if it's smart enough to say you have to have this direct deposit by the 13th, keep the account open till here, have this minimum balance, and then have a separate standard for debit card transactions, I might be screwed and I might not get it. So I think I'm getting $300. It's a little risky. I can't say for sure. If I do, though, 462 plus 300 is more than 734, so I would be covered. But you know what else came into existence recently was the annual fee on my City Strata Elite, which I've not accounted for yet. What I do is all my little credits, I kind of offset by annual fees and then move money in, out. I haven't done my end of month accounting on that yet. So that's going to cause kind of a divot too. So I'll definitely have to have a backup plan ready to go. And I might have to have a plan even outside of that for how I'm going to cover the rest of it. Of the major transferable point currency programs, 3 of them let you cash out at a penny per point without going through any hoops. You won't see American Express on here because they don't. My wife no longer has the business platinum card, so I can't get a penny per point with Amex. And Capital One doesn't let you cash out, at least not in a direct sense. Plus, I've only got like a couple thousand Capital One points anyway. So what we have here is Chase, Citi, and Wells Fargo. Right now, I've got about 11,000 ultimate rewards with Chase, and that's not enough to get her done. Plus, those Chase points are super valuable for me because it's mostly going towards the Aeroplan trick. So I won't be using Chase. Citi is sitting just under 24,000 right now. Once I get my CSE sign-up bonus, I'll probably be getting somewhere around, definitely 100,000 from the sign-up bonus, plus around 12,000 from pending points. So that would be up in the neighborhood of 130,000. Because I also have a custom cash, I can cash those out for a penny per point. But man, I really don't want to. I want to use that for things like American Airlines. I was just doing a video not too long ago about maybe doing a quick Europe getaway, which I'm probably not going to do, but I had like 2.5 cents per point, 3 cents per point in American. I'd really rather not cash those out for a penny per point. Which brings us over to Wells Fargo, 22,140. Yes, I have the old Golden Ponies card. And yes, I can use that for 1.5 cents per point in their travel portal for flights. So that would become around $300 worth of general travel. But Wells Fargo is not so valuable that I feel terrible using penny per point. So I'm leaning towards Wells Fargo right now to cover that if I'm unable to through the Wings Credit Union. But wait, there's more. My wife doesn't have any Wells Fargo points, but she does have Wells Fargo business rewards, $753. And the reason why is she signed up for the 2% everywhere Wells Fargo card, which I think it's called the Signify. Is that right? That's the only Wells Fargo business card. And it had a sign-up bonus of, I don't remember, 1,000, 1,200, whatever. We met the sign-up bonus. And she still has $753 left from that. You have to have an autograph or an autograph journey or an old Golden Ponies card to convert that into Wells Fargo points, which she does not have. So the plan is to get her an autograph or an autograph journey someday and move those points over to my account. But right now they're just trapped. The only thing they can be used for is cash or statement credits. So I would probably actually take it from her Wells Fargo Business Rewards cash rather than my own points, because right now they're a little less flexible. They're only available as cash, although hypothetically in the future they can turn into points. So this is me like, I really don't want to do this, but I have to. Expression, $743. We're going to take 434-ish from Schwab. That leaves a balance of what, like $30, just because I want to leave something in the account. And that leaves $300, which is going to come from either Wings or the Wells Fargo cash or some combination of the two. So I'll wait until middle of March to see how Wings shake out, then make my decision on that. So that's where it's going to come from. So yes, the trips did or soon will actually pay for themselves. And we are done. Thank you to everyone who stuck around for the theme of the day. I really appreciate it. In just a little bit, we'll get into our community tab questions. However, let's first catch up on comments. Jesus wants to know, Roz, did you keep up with the hoax rumor about Hyatt credit card this week? I know you're not too big into Hyatt, but curious. Yes, I did. That was in Dugroz data points. So you'll want to go back and watch from the beginning and you'll see some data points on that. Wants to know if I did any credit card funding with Wings. I believe so. Just going from memory, they let you use a MasterCard or Visa only, but maximum of $500. So not that much. Mike wants to know, who's your friend Pure Talk? Ha ha ha. I don't remember what you're referencing here, Mike. Did I miss an inside joke or something? Oh, up there in the corner, Pure Talk. That's the name of my cell phone company. Pure Talk. I got you now. Thank you. Sorry for my thickness. All right, we're caught up in comments. Thank you to the 74 of you who've stayed on board. Do you know what time it is? Do you know what time it is? I am the captain now. We're going to catch up on community tab questions. So every Friday night, somewhere between 5 p.m. and 7:30 p.m. Central Time, roughly, I will do a community tab post, and that community tab post will have a picture along with it. And you can do a couple things with that. One thing you can do is guess where the picture was taken. The other thing you can do is ask me a question on anything in the world of points, miles, cashback, etc. So the picture I posted last night was this picture. And if you scroll to the side, there was a second picture that looks like this. This is totally natural, nothing staged whatsoever. I just sat down in a cabana reading my book, and some random guy walked by and says, "Hey, hombre, you want me to take your picture reading your book?" And I was like, "Yeah, take my picture reading the book." And he's like, "There you go. I'll airdrop it to you." Okay, maybe I staged the picture for the sake of YouTube, but it looked natural, and I really did sit in the cabana. So that's what you're supposed to guess, where that picture was taken. Brief interlude to mention that my friend John drops one Dugroz Reports membership supporting the channel. That's just as good as a $3 super chat. Celebrate, celebrate. Thank you so much, John. I really appreciate your patronage there. Remember, you can still do a tip jar tip too. Check the URL down below. All right, we're going to read the questions here and answer them. Luke D. Johnson guessed that the picture is this. Dugroz is so committed to that Target run that he decided to set up camp in the seasonal display section like a model. No, this is not taken inside a Target store, but good guess. Scott S. asks this anything question. What would an all-in or daily spend Chase Aeroplan boom pay yourself back strategy look like? And could it beat Citi? This is an excellent question. I'm not going to be able to answer it in a lot of detail right now, but I'll hit a few highlights. So for the three people who don't know what Scott is talking about, you can pay yourself back with the Aeroplan card issued by Chase. It is 1.625 cents per point if you use the transfer bonuses from Chase the way that I do. Comes up about twice a year, at least it has for the past 3 or 4 years. Transfer bonus, built-in bonus times 1.25. It ends up being 1.625 cents per point. The most recent one was slightly better, 1.68 cents per point. So if I went all in on that, the biggest limit is that there is a cap. You can only pay yourself back a maximum of 200,000 points per card per calendar year, and that comes out to $2,500. So my wife has the card, I have the card, we'd be capped at $5,000. If I just ignored points altogether, like didn't use the Hilton points, didn't try for that kind of stuff, didn't do any Wyndham strategery, I don't think $5,000 in general travel enough per year would be enough to do it. I'd be flying a whole lot of economy, that's for sure. So that's the limitation. Therefore, I don't suggest it as a standalone strategy unless you're a very small time traveler. I suppose if you're just like a Midwest dad and you want to take one trip with your family to Disney World per year, it could be a very valid strategy. But in our circle, the Points and Miles community, I think it's a great supplementation strategy for someone like me that wants to move the slider closer to the net zero rather than the, Uncle Luke or rewards master strategy of saying, I'm just going to pay cash for my own personal finances for airport hotels, ferries, tolls, meals, repositioning flights, taxes, those kind of things. Both are perfectly cromulent strategies, but if you want to minimize the impact to your family budget, that's where it comes in. By the way, if you want to use a strategy kind of like mine, but you're not ready to go all in, like I said, I wasn't at first, just take your family budget, decide how much you're going to do, and put that into your travel savings account. For example, early on, I didn't have enough to cover it. So I would say just take $500 a year, $1,000 a year, put it in your travel savings account to supplement. So travel's not totally paying for itself, but the combination of travel paying itself plus your $1,000 budgetary supplement could work great with this system. For that kind of person, I think Aeroplan Pay Yourself Back is the winner. So things like the Hoover Dam, the Hoover Dam parking lot, the Viator charge on a tour of a palace in Austria, paying for parking in the Lolando Peninsula in Wales, taxis, Ubers, all those kind of things, boat rides in Sweden. That's where your Aeroplan caravan shines brightest. Things that you just can't transfer points to. Thank you, Luke. I appreciate it. Guessing where the picture was taken, friend of the channel Ron B says, you're in Marietta, Ohio in the year 1788. At least that's where your mind is based on the book. And as Obi-Wan would say, that is true from a certain point of view. The book that I'm reading is The Pioneers by David McCullough. Look at those winter Midwest thighs. Very pale. But anyhow, the book is called The Pioneers by David McCullough, which is about the founding of Marietta, Ohio, which is the first permanent settlement in the Northwest Territories, very late 1700s, early 1800s. This April, I'm planning on going to that general area, and I think I might do a stop in Marietta. If you're a diehard and you want to do something of a hyper nerdy meetup, either in Wheeling, West Virginia or Marietta, Ohio, somewhere around the last full week in April, here, I'll give you the dates. Roughly April 25th-ish. Send me a private message on Discord, or if you don't have Discord, just go into one of my oldest members-only videos. Not oldest, but just not the most recent. Go into a members-only video and just say you're interested, and I'll let you know how that works out. There is no international airport to either of those towns, so there will be at least an hour of driving involved. So yes, that's where my mind was, but I want to know where I was physically located. Bob's Travel gives very creative guesses, and today is no exception. Bob Travel says, you are taking a break in your VIP cabana at Hotel South Beach after a busy day of checking out the historical Art Deco building on Ocean Drive and the unique lifeguard towers on South Beach. Love it, Bob. That's very wrong, but it's a great guess. I'm assuming you mean South Beach in California, but correct me if I'm wrong. I think there's also a South Beach somewhere else. Flying Ryan says, are you at Adventure Bay? And there's two possible clarifications. One is LN330 says, do you mean the fictional town from Paw Patrol? Tell me you have young kids without telling me you have young kids, if you know where Adventure Bay is. But I'm pretty sure Ryan, as a native of Iowa, is referring to Adventureland Resort, which includes a water park called Adventure Bay. Great guess, Ryan, but no, I am not at Adventure Bay in Altoona, Iowa. There were 2 correct guesses. One correct guess was from Sally Beery, who guessed Puerto Rico. Ding, 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 ding. And the other was from Cesar Joel, who has a home team advantage. The Doubletree San Juan in Puerto Rico. So, Sally, you'll get 1,000 Dugraz points for a correct guess. Cesar, you get 1,500 Dugraz points since your correct guess included the specific hotel. So there you go, each of you correct guesses. So I'll show you a little more of the pictures of me. Everybody wants to see a 40-something-year-old, very pale Midwest dad in swim trunks, right? Here is a picture of the pool at the Doubletree there in San Juan. Here's a picture of aforementioned pasty guy in said pool. They also, in addition to the cabanas, had these big puffy chairs, which actually, there was a very brief light shower, and I kind of hid one of those for about 10 minutes to escape from it. So that was kind of a nice feature. Here's a panorama of the whole pool deck area. It's not right next to the beach, but they did have a shuttle that would take you to the beach for free. I never felt the need to take advantage of that. They have sort of a conference wing that comes off to the side that looks like that. I mostly like it because of the palm trees. And then here's the main part of the hotel. My room was on the very tippity top floor. By the way, the very top floor is not handicapped accessible. You get off the elevator and you have to go up about 3 steps to get in there. So FYI, if you ever go to the San Juan Doubletree, everything is great except for them not explaining how to use your food and beverage credit. I don't think they should say you're not allowed to use it other than breakfast, but nevertheless, they did. I know some of the people at the Hilton Caribe complained that like they only let you use your gold or better status for like a cold breakfast. We've got just a few questions, and I will then give you the fair warning that this is your last chance to do what John did and drop a super chat, super sticker, or donated membership, or tip jar tip. It's not your last chance to buy a Nest mattress, so check out that link in the description box. Remember, I'm better than Rakuten because I give you valuable advice. Sleepy Rod wants to know, how does one earn enough Wells Fargo points? I don't have truckloads of Wells Fargo points, and it is hard to earn lots and lots because same kind of thing as Citi. They do have some velocity issues, but I've signed up for an autograph. I've signed up for the Signify Business. I've had my Golden Ponies card going back many, many years. Occasionally, they'll do targeted offers like get 5 points at grocery stores, although it's been quite a long time since they've done that. There was one time I milked that so hard I almost broke the system. And then my wife also got the business card. We can still sign up for my wife's autograph and in a tune for one of us. So there are ways, but it's a little trickier. YouTube Experiment just got off work. Thanks for the membership. Will be driving. Oh, hey, must have been either John or Tom donated memberships today. Mike decided to go the tip jar route, which is totally cool. Source King is a big fan of the Hoover Dam parking lot, as am I. Texas Dog says Hotel Galvez. It was not the hotel in Galveston. DEM thought it was definitely Miami, but nope, it was Puerto Rico. Or are you referencing South Beach? I'm going to ask Google a question real quick. Is there a South Beach in both California and Florida? My microphone's hooked up. Is there a South Beach in California and Florida? It says, yes, both California and Florida have locations named South Beach. The most famous is the vibrant Art Deco-filled South Beach in Miami. Lesser known is a location near Crescent City, California called South Beach. Okay, so we're definitely talking about the one near Miami. I apologize, but thank you for correcting me, DEM. Beautiful Art Deco buildings. Yeah, who needs Google when you got DEM? Cesar says, hit that thumbs up button. If you do that on the way out the door, I'd appreciate it. If you're watching after the fact, again, share a funny gas station or pharmacy story, and please hit the thumbs up button. If you're watching this after the fact, you can also drop a super thanks, which is a lot like a super sticker, just for later viewings. DEM says South Beach. Hey, there you go. All right, let's review who supported the channel today. I think I actually missed one at the very, very beginning, and I'm so sorry. David Rust gifted 5 Dugraz Reports memberships. Celebrate, celebrate. Thank you so much. I missed like 2 or 3 of those. How did I miss these? I'm sorry, folks. I wonder if it was all given like before the live stream started, and that's why I missed it. David Rust donates 5 memberships. Celebrate. Thank you so much, David. QC Man gifts 1 membership. Celebrate. A tier gave a $2.99 super sticker. Celebrate. I really appreciate that. Mike Newland gave 20 Dugroz Reports memberships. That's just as good as a $60 donation. And in addition to that, Miles of Smiles, also known as Mike, gave $60 in the tip jar. So his total generosity was $120. Thank you so much. I am deeply indebted, and I really appreciate it, Mike. Rex became a YouTube member and then donated 5 memberships. I could have sworn he joined as a member last week. Is anybody able to confirm if this is showing last week's for some reasons? Am I off here? Oh, well, I'd rather thank people too much rather than not enough. George Rommel gave $2.99. Mike gave $1.49. Brian gave $1.49. Now, see, Brian gave $1.49 last week, so I think this is all messed up. I don't know why it's so messed up here. Weird. Okay, let's back up here to the part that I know is legitimate. Dad on a Mission, 13 months of membership. TH Midwest, $2. John has been a member for 24 months. Rex has been a member for 7 months. And that's 7 months total, not consecutive. And V Catman, 99-cent super sticker. Nuracan, $2.99 super sticker. Tom Graber, 1 membership. Mike Newland drops $1.49. Texas Dog, $1.99. And John donates 1 Dugroz Reports membership. Sorry about the confusing on the donations. And then an anonymous person gave a $5 tip jar tip. Thank you so much for your patronage. FLX-NY says, regarding pharmacies, I use Built Obsidian for Walgreens Pharmacy for 3x on groceries. Does Walgreens code as 3x on groceries? Interesting. We're gonna have to pick up that Obsidian card. There is definitely some strategery afoot. Thank you, everyone who supported the channel by watching, clicking thumbs up, dropping super chats, or just being a part of the group. I really do appreciate it. Stay tuned for next week's live stream, same time, same place. And as always, may your spending be frugal and may your points be plenteous. Thanks, everyone. Bye.